Have you ever wondered about the pros and cons of being a solo agent or being an agent on the team? What is going on, guys? I've got a very cool conversation for us today. I've got Miss Maria Dep Poce, who is the team leader at our Keller Williams office. If you are outside of the Keller Williams world, she's basically the CEO of our brokerage office. Maria, how are you doing?
Hi, Chris. I'm well. How are you? Thank you for having me. This is so fun. I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to have you because I feel like you're in a very unique position in that you know the pros and cons, you've seen both sides of the coin, you've coached people, into being a solo agent, into joining a team. You kind of know what the things are to look for.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to have you unpack this conversation. So what are I guess what would be the main criteria you would say that you would consider whether you're going to advise somebody to join a team versus go the solo agent route?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And by the way, I get it all the time. I probably answer that question every day, like maybe every other day at the very least. And that's really because teams have taken off in a big way, especially in the last few years, especially in Richmond, Virginia. I would say we're kind of in the era of teams. And so as people are having to navigate, do I get on a team? Do I go individual? What does it even mean? It just kind of pops up. And there is no one size fits all on this question. And that is where you really have to ask that person questions, and they have to get educated about what does it mean to be on a team. And then what does that look like? And does that fit me and who I'm looking for? So typically when somebody says, hey, I'm thinking about joining a team, or should I go individual? What do you think I should do? The first question I ask them is, why are you got your real estate license to be a business owner, right? So the typical realtor model is you get your real estate license, and then you go out and sell real estate, right? And so I say, what has you thinking about joining a team, right? Why is that popping up in your world? And they'll say, well, I talked to Chris, and Chris has a team, and Chris is looking for agents. And so I thought maybe that could be a route that I go. And then I kind of go into question mode as far as like, well, what are you looking for, right? Like individual or team, what are the things that you are looking for as far as these are my non-negotiable things that I feel like I need to be successful, okay? Because at that answer, the things that person tells me, that becomes the answer to their question. Because and I can go into that with you if you want me to, but those are the things that, like, as an individual agent, even Keller Williams, that I believe is delivering a very high level experience for our individual agents. There's only so much we can do for people on a one-on-one basis, right? And they might need more than that, and that team might fit what they're looking for.
Yeah, totally. So what would you say are the most common things that come up that are points of consideration?
Okay, so the biggest one is, like, I am somebody that if left to my own devices, I do nothing. Okay, if any variation of that, like if I hear that in someone, I'm like, okay,
non-self-starters.
Yes, I'm like, you need to be on a team. Okay, you need high accountability, and mastering yourself. Self-mastery means I've mastered me. I know what I need to do to get a result, right? So for example, for me, if I don't have a personal trainer that's telling me to lift heavy things, I won't lift heavy things. I'll work out, but I won't lift heavy things. I have mastered that about me. And so to be successful, you have to know, what things do I have to self-master? And if you're like, hey, if I'm not part of a team environment, I just sit around and kind of do nothing and watch TV and spend time on TikTok, then you need to go find the people that you get to plug into and be part of a team that's gonna create that environment for you, right? So if you're not a self-starter, that is like, you need to go on a team, right? If you like, there's a lot of people that when you ask questions about their background, they come from team backgrounds. They played sports on teams. They were part of a team. Even if they're leaving corporate America, they function really well in a team environment. They like to collaborate. They like working with other people really closely. Then a team is a really good fit for you, right? So those are the two biggest things, right? Because I always try to find the fit for that person, and I go, tell me about you and your personality and what makes you tick and all those things, and I consult to that person. So I would say those are really, really big reasons why people should consider joining a team. There are many other reasons. And then there's the opposite. Okay. So what I mean by that is if you are, and this should qualify as for individual agents as well, but they get away with it a little bit more. If you are not coachable, not trainable, you want to reinvent the wheel, you want to do things on your own, you think you're always right, that you know everything, then the team's not a fit. And actually, I don't know if Keller Williams is a fit, right? Like now we're having a bigger conversation, but that's maybe even somebody that I would advise to go the independent brokerage route. Like go find the brokerage that's going to put you at 100% because you don't play well with others, and that's okay. But I have found people like that. And sometimes those individuals have to go out there and spend a year on their own and realize, okay, I actually don't know what I'm talking about. I do need support. And not only do I need support, but I need support at a high level, and therefore a team is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, they go from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. So just so we're being fair in this conversation, and it's not just one way, what would you say are some of the right reasons other than like, hey, I don't play well in the sandbox, to go the solo agent route? Because personally, I don't know that I would have done well on a team.
Right.
But what are some of those like right reasons where you say, hey, I think you should go the solo agent route?
Yeah, I think there are, I say this to people all the time. I'm like, what are we like, if we're talking about like what the next 5 years looks like for you, what does that look, what do you see? What does your mind eye see? Right. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, is your name on the sign? Is your picture on the sign? Is your, like, do you have a lot of, is that important to you for you to build something that is yours, is truly just 100% yours, right? And if they say yes, then I'm like, okay, then you have, this is your path forward, right? You're not going to join a team. Or if they say, like, I don't like being told what to do, that is not necessarily a bad thing, right? That doesn't mean you're not coachable. It just means that you like doing things in the style at which you like doing them. I know for me, like I tried being on a team. This was 10 years ago. And I don't know why. I just was like, I don't know, everybody's doing it, let me try it out. And we had a huddle every morning at 8:45, and it just didn't work for me. Like I was like, that kind doesn't work. I'm doing something else. Like I'm this specific thing that you're requiring me to be on is not worth what I'm getting in return, right? Which wasn't much, but that was probably maybe the biggest issue, was I wasn't getting value, but also the fact that I didn't want to be. So I tell people that, I say, if you are someone that like you don't want to be and be part of things at specific times, then a team maybe is not a fit for you. But sometimes you have to evaluate, what am I looking for? And am I willing to trade being somewhere at a certain time that maybe doesn't work for me for getting all the things you're going to get from being on a team? Because sometimes the trade is worth it, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of depends. But again, I think it always goes back to the individual of like, what are we doing? Where are we at 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And also, there are people that want to build other things, or they're doing other things, like they have businesses already, or they want to build other businesses as they're building their real estate business. And I'm like, okay, you need help. Like you're not going to be able to do all of this at the same time, right? So maybe you're part of a team that supports you on the real estate side, and then you have these other two businesses that you're operating on your own. So it really does come down to that person. There is no one size fits all when it comes to everybody should be on a team or everybody should be individual. I really do think it's a consultative like conversation of what do you want to see?
Yeah, most definitely. So, so let me ask you this. So if somebody's either consider like, what are the things that I should look for in a team if I'm going to join a team? And then what are the things if I'm going to go the solo agent route? What are the things that I should be looking for in my brokerage and my broker and whatever that looks like?
Okay, so two great questions. I think that if you are going to join a team, what I will tell you is the reason why I hate to say this, but it's just true. The reason why you join that team is maybe the reason why you'll leave that team. Okay, I'm going to make this make sense in a
Tell me
second.
about that. Yeah.
So if I have a team and I tell you, Chris, come on my team, and you say, why should I come on my team? And I say, because I'm going to give you leads. And then I don't deliver the
terrible reason to join the team, by the way.
What'd you say?
I said terrible reason.
Yes.
Or a terrible carrot to recruit people with.
But people do it all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
in Richmond, it is more practiced. It's the biggest thing practiced out there, right? Like there's all these teams in Richmond and they're like, why should you join my team? Because I'll give you leads. Like there are so many, and here's why I say the reason why you join is the reason why you leave is because that thing that you are putting all your weight in that you think is going to be the best, most amazing thing, the minute they don't deliver it at the highest level possible, which it happens, even leads, if you're buying leads, sometimes Zillow leads are really good. Sometimes they're not, even if you continue buying leads. And that's if the team lead doesn't decide to just stop buying leads altogether, right? Then you're really leaving because now you're not delivering at all. But and it's the same for the team lead. The reason why they join you is the reason why they leave you. So if they're joining you because you are going to create amazing support for them, and this actually happened in our office. One of our top agents joined one of our top teams, and then a year and a half later, she left. She left that team because she joined for the support, and then the support wasn't there in the way that she needed it, right? And so there's a lot of reasons why you want to join a team and what to look for. I think personally, the biggest indicator that you should look at when you're joining a team is who is the team lead and what do they do on a daily basis. Personally, I have a hard time being part of an organization where I'm being told to do something, but no one is doing it. Like nobody's modeling it for me, right? So it's like, hey, you need to lead generate. You know, I'm the team lead. You need to lead generate. Cool. But I don't lead generate. You lead generate. Right. And it's like, well, that's crappy. So what? Like when I make it big, I don't have to team lead generate. By the way, a lot of teams in Richmond, a lot of these people that don't, I'm just saying they don't lead generate, right? They build this machine that they buy leads and then they give them out to the team, right? So that's kind of, you know, and there's other things, right? Like, do they have good systems? What is their reputation, right? Like, that's a big one. You know, there's a name that's going to be going on that sign and those business cards that are also going to have your name on it, but the team's name is going to be on it. And does it have a good reputation? Like, it's not hard to find out. You just got to start asking. And as far as an individual agent goes, and of course with the team, right? Like, is there structure, right? Like, do we have a sales meeting? Do we have a team meeting? You know, are we lead generating together? What do the client appreciation events look like? Like, there's a lot there that somebody could look through to make sure they're picking the right team. On the individual side, I think it's more about what do you need? Like, what, you know, what value proposition is most important to you as an individual agent? And for example, when you and I were first talking, since you and I were first talking, your need of a value proposition has changed, right? Like, yeah. When we first talked, it was more of an economic model conversation. But since you've been at Keller Williams, it has been more of the business building value proposition, right? So individual agents will go through the same thing where they are, and I think that this is potentially why people move brokerages, is because their needs change and the brokerage doesn't change along with them, or doesn't even recognize those changes or those needs. And it's an individual agent that is a brand new agent is going to need coaching, mentorship, all the things that they need to like get a transaction from start to close. And then there are people that join that need more of that one-on-one coaching, that have businesses but have no systems in place. And then you have those individual agents that like, we just onboarded somebody that was at a cloud-based brokerage. And again, I am not saying one is better than the other. What I'm saying is, to that person specifically, she needs the community. That individual agent needed like our sales meetings, our Tuesday sales meetings, right? They're in person, they're every Tuesday. You can catch them every month. You can pick which one Tuesday you're going to come to. You can come have lunch with us. So that's why when I am recruiting, it's funny, people think I'm a recruiter. I wish people would understand, like, I'm just a question asker, because I want to know, is what we have a fit for you? And then if so, great. If not, we don't go into business together. Where I do think some of the more recruiting based models out there, they'll just take anybody. They're like, oh, we've got that. And we've got that too. And well, you just can't be everything to everyone, or you're just nothing to no one, right?
Yeah. It's like, hey, we're a Ferrari, but we're also a Jeep, and we're also a minivan. So let me ask you this question, because I'm kind of curious to get your take. There are downsides to any business model. There's pros and cons to any route that you go, right? There's going to be a hard. We as human beings have the free will to choose our hard, but there's going to be some sort of hard that you're going to endure. So what are the downsides of joining a team, and what are the downsides of going solo? Because I find a lot of times people will look only at like the aspirational good things, but I think they also need to consider like, what are the downsides? Because a lot of times it's the downsides they discover later that they're like, yeah, even like that downside doesn't work for me.
Yeah. So I think one of the downsides of joining a team, and this has to be pre-framed, if the team is not delivering the value proposition that they promised, is you are giving up a big percentage, a big chunk of your money, right? Yep. Typically 40 to 50% of your GCI is going to the team to go. Hopefully the team is taking that, the team lead is taking that and is putting it into resources, into admin staff, into transaction coordination, into lead generation, whatever the case may be. Like, let's say I'm an agent on your team and I brought in $100,000 in GCI. I'm on a 50-50 split, and you end up with 50,000 of that, right? Well, some of it is going to be profit, I would hope, because you're not doing this for free. And then the rest of it should be invested back in the business so that the machine can keep operating and delivering my client experience at a high level. When it breaks, what happens is, as an agent, all the things that the hub is supposed to be doing, I'm doing, because they're not getting to it, right? It's like, oh man, we were supposed to send that email, we didn't do it. Oh man, we were supposed to do this. And like, we just can't, our clients are working with us. They don't know that there's even a team backing us, right? So that is one of the downsides is when it works, it's a beautiful thing. When it doesn't work, it leaves the worst taste in your mouth, because so much of your commissions are going to the team. I also will say that if you are only on a team to get leads, right? There are plenty of those models. We know about a bunch of them in Richmond, and I'm sure everywhere in the country, where that person doesn't like the people they work with. They don't like the team lead. They don't really like anything. They just like the fact that they get fed Zillow leads, right? What ends up happening always, without a shadow of doubt, is that person gets to the point where they go, I made this much money and I gave half of it back to the team. I'm just going to go out there and figure out how to generate leads on my own. And then I don't need the team anymore. Right? Because they didn't connect in other ways. It wasn't like a total fit everywhere. And this is why we tell team leads the reason why they join you is the reason why they leave you. So quit telling people that if they come on your team, they'll get leads, because the minute that doesn't work, they're out the door, or the minute they figure out how to generate leads, they're out the door. Yeah. Right? You have to really, I hope that this is landing in the sense that like people that belong on a team, when you meet them, and you've met people since you've been at KW that have been on teams for many, 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 many years, right? And will probably never leave the team. It is like at a soul level, they are meant to be on a team. Like they just need that community. They need that environment. They thrive in that environment. And not having it would cause the very opposite effect. They probably would not be as successful. They wouldn't be thriving. They would be struggling, and we would consult them to go join a team, right? On the individual side, the drawbacks of being independent, and this is why I sell teams a lot, is because you have to do everything on your own. Absolutely everything. Okay.
You are building the infrastructure. There's usually no infrastructure you're plugging into. Yeah.
Like you're wearing the admin hat, and you're wearing the realtor hat, and you're wearing the showing agent hat, and you're wearing the meet with the inspector hat. You're wearing all the hats. You're literally like creating marketing, social media, and you can't do, like we know at KW, our model tells us that when the individual agents hits about 25 units a year, they will have to hire help. They won't continue. They won't be able to continue delivering their client experience at the same level, doing more units on their own.
And this is where I feel like I see a lot of people stop, and they hit that wall and they realize they've got to hire somebody, they've got to take on that risk. And it's either I plug it in leverage, I realize I got to go build it myself and actually do it, or the one that makes me the most sad, it makes my heart hurt, is those agents that just kind of slide back to, the 10 to 15 transactions a year. And I'm like, and you could tell you could see it in their eyes that they've kind of given up to a certain degree. And it's just because
they'll literally tell you, I decided I'm not doing any more than 15 a year because it's too much work.
Yeah. And God bless, like everybody's got that free.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. Like, that's just what they're happy with that, right? Not everybody's like, that's what I've learned in my leadership role is I'm here to help you achieve the goals that you have set for yourself, not goals that I would set for you.
Yeah.
And, but to your point, I think that a lot of agents that are out there trying to figure it out on their own would be better served being on a team if they could just let the ego side of things go. And that's, there's a difference between a healthy ego and a non-healthy ego, right? Like we all have it, we all have an ego, but it's like, when you're looking at, well, I don't want to be on a team because what are people going to think? Like, who cares what people think? You think people are thinking about you? I got news for you. Like, we spend thousands of dollars a year to get people to think about us, right? Like, people are not thinking about you for free, my friend. Right. That's I hope that this lands and then this finds someone that is out there struggling. They've been, out there like selling houses for a couple years, and they're individual agents, and they're maybe like, man, like this is so hard. Like this is just hard. Why am I like, oh gosh, and this, I got to do this and I got to do that and da-da-da. Like a team is a fit for you. Does that make, like, if you're hearing this, this is for you. Like,
well, it's at the end of the day, like, and you already alluded to it, everybody's going to hit a point where you need to add leverage to your life, and you either plug into somebody else's that they've built or you built it yourself. Like, that's just the reality of, and if you don't think you want leverage. I mean, like the reality is like, I would imagine both of us are wearing clothes that we did not sew ourselves. Like I did not grow the cotton that is on my, like part of my shirt. Like we are already tapping into leverage. It's not it's not like
Right.
you either have it or you don't. It's like, to what degree are you utilizing leverage?
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah.
Like I'm looking at your, like, I don't think you built the furniture. You probably didn't like engineer and put together the TV that's on your wall. Like
I didn't even put my TV up.
yeah, like we're all accessing leverage in this world. It's just a matter of how much.
Well, and by the way, I have done the math with a 30 to 50 unit producer. Okay. Because I'm on a team, I'm thinking about leaving the team. And I'm like, great. What did you pay the team last year? And it was a number. I said, okay, here's all the people we're going to need to hire to go replace all the people that were doing those things for you. Okay, we spent double. We just spent double in salaries and lead gen, and all like client appreciation events are incredibly expensive. Finding people, training them. Oh, by the way, like now you get to go backwards in production because you're going to spend the next 6 months to 8 months of next year building all the pieces that you now need. So like when I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the math is the same, it truly is, like individual agent or successful agent on a team, the money that you are coming out of pocket to pay for it yourself or that you are giving back to the team, the math is the same. It's 30, 30, 40. 30% cost of sales, or 30% expenses, 30% cost of sales, 40% NOI, right? Agents that are on a team have a bigger net operating income percentage than the team leads do sometimes.
It's absolutely true. And like you're either on a team or you build a team. I think like being a solo agent with no leverage is just hell. Like you're better off getting a job at CoStar or, or Capital One. So anyway, we can riff for hours here. Maria, thank you so much for your time here today. I'm curious, what parting advice would you give to somebody? So let's say somebody's either a new licensee or they're considering getting their real estate license, or they've been in the business for 2 years under and they're kind of not achieving anything they would ever want to achieve. What parting advice would you give to the folks out there?
I literally just give this advice to an agent that is in that bracket like 2 days ago, which is, why wouldn't you join a team and try it? Like what I in my mind, like unless the team lead doesn't want you, if they're willing to bring you on, then do it. If you're undecided, like, well, a team might work and it might not, and you're 50-50, then join the team and let the process show you whether it's a fit or not, right? Because sometimes we just don't know until we go do it. And don't be scared about like, well, what's going to happen? Like, that doesn't matter. Like, do the activity and then the results will happen. I just think there's a lot of people out there, and I just see this firsthand, that I really believe if they were on a team, they would be more successful, because I know people like you, Chris, you're doing lead generation practice with people. You're teaching them how you literally built the business that you have from scratch, right? Like, alongside, you're teaching them scripts of the moment. You're giving them all the things to help them be successful. Why turn down that kind of help? So that would be my like parting words with them, is like, if you're out there struggling on your own, it doesn't have to be hard. It really doesn't. It actually isn't, if you're in the right environment.
I'm going to ask you one last parting question. Top 3 things that an agent should look for in a team to join.
Accountability.
What does that mean?
So that means like, you're going to hold me accountable. When I set a goal, you're going to hold me accountable that I hit that goal. Right? Yeah. Whatever that is. Like if I tell you, like, Chris, I'm going to book 2 appointments this week, then come Friday, you better be asking me if I booked those 2 appointments. Right? Yeah. And like, I think I will say, like, people look at that and they're like, well, that's easy. That's everywhere. And I'm like, really? I would challenge that, because a lot of people tell you they'll hold you accountable, but very few people will, right? So accountability, I think is number one, also because it gets stuff done. Number two, I think like just the environment and the culture. I think teams should have like a standardized like calendar or schedule. Like we do this day, we do this day, we do this. So like structure. That's what makes a team work really well, is structure in the business. And then I would say like last, but you could flip flop these. I mean, this could be one, accountability could be one, is culture. Like, does the team have good culture? Does that make sense? Like, I think there's teams out there with really toxic culture. And by the way, teams that distribute leads at a high level have some of the most horrific culture I have ever seen, because the team lead tends to pick favorites based on who they like, who they think will perform at a higher level, or who is converting at a higher level. So then the team lead starts playing God on who's the favorite and who gets more of the leads and whatever. And then that pins agents against each other. And that's really toxic. And it doesn't take long for you to know the culture, right? You just talk to people and ask around. And unfortunately, Richmond is a small town. So we all kind of know each other's,
We're all a little bit in each other's business.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Maria, thank you so much for your time here today. We appreciate this conversation. Hopefully this was of value to you. If you have any questions, concerns we didn't address, throw it in the comments below. Shoot me a DM. And if you want to talk about Keller Williams, give Maria a call. We'll link up her information.
Bye.